Welcome to This Explainer by Forge College. If you were with us last time, you'll remember we took a hard look at identity verification and security risks. Well, today we're diving right into compressed NFTs on Solana. We're officially moving from worrying about costs to worrying about the actual plumbing. Because, before you build your Web3 app, you really need to know what's secured by unbreakable math and what's just digital duct tape that can and absolutely will break if you aren't careful. Here's our blueprint for today. First, the layered receipt system. Second, 3 critical failure modes. Third, safe reconciliation workflows. Fourth, comparing compressed NFTs to full on-chain assets. And finally, preparing for protocol internals. Let's jump in. All right, section 1, the layered receipt system. We need a solid mental model before we go any further. So when dealing with compressed NFTs, we are intentionally moving massive amounts of data offsite to save space. Because of that, we need a brand new mental model. Think of the on-chain root as the ultimate, totally unbreakable wax seal on a top-secret envelope. We call this the cryptographic seal. It's the canonical on-chain state commitment. Now, it doesn't hold the heavy data itself, but if you can independently recompute your data and prove that it fits perfectly under this seal, your ownership is mathematically undeniable. It's entirely secure. Now, sitting above that unbreakable seal is the receipt drawer. That's your off-chain archive. It holds all the heavy stuff you actually need to render a token. The high-res images, the player stats, the transfer history. It's huge, and it's lightning fast to search through. But here is the catch. It's basically a massive, messy desk drawer. If you look at a receipt in there without checking it against the cryptographic seal, you have zero guarantee it's real. Without the math backing it up, it could just be a very convincing doodle that someone slipped in there. So whenever you interact with a compressed NFT, you have to be the ultimate skeptic. You basically need to ask 3 layered questions. 1, when was the on-chain seal last updated? 2, can you get the exact mathematical inclusion proof for your specific claim? And 3, does the fancy image in your drawer actually match what the proof says? The takeaway here? Always double-check your math, because the drawer alone means absolutely nothing. Moving on to section 2, 3 critical failure modes. Let's talk about common failure types. Okay, so what actually happens when things break? We have 3 main culprits. First is mismatch. That's when your drawer data completely disagrees with the math. You detect this with hashtags and you fix it by resyncing. Then there's omission, which is when receipts just vanish into thin air. It's literally the Web3 equivalent of the dog ate my homework. You spot this through gaps in your sequence numbers and you fix it by rebuilding your index. Finally, tampering. This is the malicious alteration of the payload. But the absolute best news here, because of our cryptographic seal, even if the dog eats the drawer and someone sets the whole room on fire, we can rebuild it all if we're properly prepared. And these failures, they map to very specific attacks on your architecture. You might face logic bugs in the on-chain compressor program, or silent indexer drops where your drawer just mysteriously loses files. You might even face compromised APIs, which is essentially a digital middleman lying to you by serving stale, outdated data. Every single one of these services needs its own specific alarm system to keep your app running safely. Which brings us to section 3, safe reconciliation workflows, how we go about catching these failures early. As we constantly emphasize in our advanced tracks at Forge College, the golden rule of keeping things safe is incredibly simple. Always serve the proof with the payload. It's kind of like handing someone a precious diamond and the certified appraisal document at the exact same time. It forces the client system to verify the math right then and there, rather than just blindly trusting the shiny object. To actually maintain a stable posture, you need 3 cadences for checking your work. First, continuous streaming validation, which watches incoming data in real time. Then, nightly bulk verification, where you sample random data across your set just to keep the system honest. And finally, there's weekly deep rehydration, which I know sounds like a very expensive 10-step skincare routine, but it's actually a complete rebuild of your data from the ground up. This guarantees total accuracy and catches any weird state divergence before it becomes a complete disaster. Your archive is literally your ultimate safety net, and it needs 3 specific superpowers. First, it has to be content addressed, which is just a fancy way of saying it's absolutely tamper-proof and immutable. Second, it must be proof inclusive, meaning it's completely verifiable against the chain. And third, it must support bounded replay. That means if your entire primary indexer system crashes, you can essentially hit a button and mathematically recreate everything from scratch using an event log. All right, section 4, compressed NFTs versus full on-chain. Let's weigh the trade-offs. So what does this all mean for you as a developer? It really comes down to a direct operational trade-off. Compressed NFTs give you incredibly low per-item costs and massive scale. That makes them absolutely perfect for sending out 1 million gaming items or, say, a huge batch of concert tickets. But they require you to actively manage that messy off-chain drawer we talked about. Full on-chain NFTs, on the other hand, are definitely more expensive, but they are beautifully simple and fully self-contained. They are perfect for high-value, legal-critical assets where you just want zero operational headaches. To make the absolute best choice for your project, just use this 3-step workflow. First, strictly define your verifiability and compliance needs. Second, map out the long-term rent and storage costs for both methods. Third, look in the mirror and honestly ask your team, do we actually have the time and engineering capacity to maintain off-chain servers and a robust archive? Use this flow to objectively justify your architecture to your boss or your stakeholders. Okay, almost done. Section 5, preparing for protocol internals, your next developer step. To actually take the leap into protocols like Bubblegum, which handles all these compressed NFT mechanics under the hood on Solana, I've got some homework for you. 1. Draft your top 3 expected failure modes and pair them with controls. 2. Sketch out exactly where your payloads and event logs will live off-chain. And 3. Go read the Bubblegum protocol overview. If you do this mapping now, those complex protocol mechanics will feel like second nature. I'm going to leave you with this somewhat provocative thought to test your resilience. If your entire off-chain database literally vanished tomorrow, could your on-chain math completely rebuild it? If you follow the frameworks we discussed today, the answer is a confident yes. Thank you so much for joining me for this Forge College Explainer. Be sure to head over to forge.college to explore more Web3 topics and continue mastering these amazing systems. Keep building and stay curious.